Welcome, everybody, to a Regrowth Impact and Influence. I'm so incredibly excited by today's guest. Taken us ages to get her on screen because she's a wanted woman and very busy. Today, we've got Emma Brown Garrett with us. Hi, Emma. How are you?
Hi team. How are you?
Now, there'll be many watching this who will know you from your auctioneering progress and success that you've had over the recent years. But I really want to start today by sharing your story because it's pretty cool and how you got into real estate, but even life before that. The learnings that I want everyone to take from today is energy, attitude, passion, and a can-do ethos and mantra to life and just where it can take you. So Emma, a little bit about your backstory to share with us prior to real estate and then what you've been doing in real estate over the last, I think, 20 years.
I know, absolutely. So this year marks 20 years for me in real estate. From the very first time that I started, I've had a bit of time off and had a few kiddies and all that kind of stuff. But 20 years ago, I started working at Kramer Property, a project marketing company who still exists in Darlinghurst. Literally taking names and numbers on the doors on Saturday. I had no certificate of registration. I had no license. I had nothing. I just knew that I wanted to work in real estate. And I kind of progressed from there, went into leasing, went into selling projects off the plan, which was great. And my career has kind of snowballed, but that was my very first start. And I remember thinking, how can I start? Where can I start? Well, I have to start at the bottom, taking names and numbers. So it was a good start. Earl Kramer still has a very successful project marketing business. And actually, he still has me as his voice message on his phone 20 years later.
That might come from your acting career, Emma.
I think so, yes.
I think for those that are listening that don't know Emma and haven't been fortunate enough to meet her and be around her energy, Emma is a very successful auctioneer. Emma, do you want to tell us who you're with and how long you've been doing auctioneering?
Yes, I work for a company now called Menk White, but I fell in love with auctioning when I was working with you at Di Jones. And we had an opportunity to attend the novice auctioneers competition, which is run by the REI of New South Wales. And I was currently working in sales, and I thought, you know what, I can absolutely have a go at this. This is something that I can do. And Josh Larson, of course, who still works at Di Jones, he trained me up for the novice, and I was successful in winning the Inner West heat, which took me to the finals. And I was absolutely sold from first competition, from the first time I got up. And I remember, if you remember this too, pushing myself so far out of my comfort zone and making everybody stay back on after our sales meetings and calling auctions in front of my crew. There's no better way to get better than anything than having your peers in front of you and being judged by them. Nothing else is hard after that. So I remember doing that at Di Jones. But I fell in love with auctioning at Di Jones. I thought this is something that I can really do.
I think it's actually a really good point. Something we used to make all of our upcoming talent do at that company was do the Young Auctioneers competition, because I think as a sales agent, until you can actually stand up the front and call an auction, you don't understand what it's like, for the auctioneer, but it also makes you a better agent because you're able to run the overall campaign, I think, much more professionally. You put yourself in both lights, but importantly, understanding the process.
Yeah.
Being able to articulate that and communicate it. So any developing agents that are watching this or any sales managers, really push your upcoming talent to do it and get them out of their comfort zone.
The novice is great.
But EBG, if you guys hear me calling Emma EBG, that's my name. So I'm going to stick with it because it's a habit hard to break after the time that we've known each other. And today really is about that, that auctioneering side of the business and what you're doing. And 20 years in real estate, you know the industry, you know the talk, you walk it. Can you give us context as just how hard it was to crack into auctioneering? And I know you're still developing and you're always learning, but just how difficult was it to crack it? And what would you say to anybody else that's thinking about getting into this field?
It was quite difficult. You know my story, you know my journey. It's one of those careers and a choice that you move forward that you need experience to have the job, but you can't get the job without the experience. And so, having auctions to call and put under your belt to make you a better auctioneer, it comes with experience, obviously, and it comes with time. Patience is probably one of the things that I've learned the most about my journey. And I think I wanted it to happen so quickly, but I hadn't met the right people, and I hadn't been on the journey long enough for it to kind of come together. I feel like now it really has come together, but I got a lot of no's and you're not ready and come back and see me when you've got more experience, and I'm not looking for anybody right now. And that's really tough, but I did persevere. So I think probably the biggest thing is perseverance and just have a go. I mean, I just didn't give up at it. I just knew it's something that I wanted to do, and so I kept pushing myself. But there is a bit of patience that had to come with that. So a bit of patience, definitely a bit of perseverance mixed together.
And ABG, there's not a lot of female auctioneers. I've got an opinion of why that is so. This isn't about burn the bra, and you and I are both about men and women. We're equal in that space. It's not about that. But what would you say to particularly women that are watching this but that want to become an auctioneer? What are some of the things they should work on? What should they work on with their voice, breathing, all those sort of things?
Absolutely. We're very different from men, as you know. We have a different manner, we have a different tone, we have different body language. One of the things that I was lucky enough in my early life and career that I had studied voice training and body language presentation through my acting when I was younger. But one of the things that I've really, really focused on in my auctioneering is my body language, my tone and my delivery, the pitch of my voice and how I sound, and the things that some of the men say don't work for the women. So I've had to find my own style. And also, Kylie, every trainer that I've ever had has been a man. And so I've adapted a style from men, but I've had to turn it into my own, which I really enjoy doing, I think. So I often laugh about how sometimes I sound a little bit like Josh Larson in my call, and then a bit of Clarence White comes out, and so I have this mixture of my call, but I've had to make it my own. But definitely my tone and my body language, I've had to be very, very conscious of that. And a lot of work's gone into that in order for me to be able to get up there and compete with everybody else.
So true, isn't it, in our industry? I think so much of the time we compare ourselves to others, when, like you say, taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that script and dialogue. But what's most important, guys, if you're listening to this, is making it your own.
Yes.
So that authenticity is so incredibly important, and doing you and
Absolutely.
making sure that you're communicating that to your customer.
My style is developing every single week. I mean, every time I do a call now, I think I don't like that, I'll change that. Or maybe my terms need to be a little bit different, or I'm still finding my feet. I mean, it's coming up to about 3 or 4 years since I first thought about becoming an auctioneer, but it's really only been in the last year that I have been absolutely, full on working full time. I mean, that's what we are at Menk White. We are full-time auctioneers. That's what we do. We live, sleep, eat, breathe auctions. We don't do anything else. So yeah, it's kind of
mastering your craft is so important, right? Like that dialogue, finding your space, getting better at being better.
Yeah.
What do you do to monitor that performance? Like, do you record your auctions? How do you get critiqued? I'm glad you
asked that question. We train every week, non-negotiable. As a team, we train together. We train numbers. We train auction floor negotiations. We train dialogue with vendors. We train with dialogue with agents. Every week we train, and it's funny, because I didn't realize until these last couple of months and how much I've improved in such a short space of time. And that's because I'm training with my team every single week. We also compete. We just finished as a team competing a circuit. So we did New South Wales, we did New Zealand, we did Brisbane, Queensland, and we competed all over the country. And oh my God, to come back from an auction competition and call an auction on Saturday is the best feeling. You are like, let's go. After having the pressure of the competition and then just getting up and doing a normal Saturday call, you improve in such a short space of time with competitions. And Clarence White has really made me fall in love with competitions. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it, but I've got the bug now. It's really fun to compete. So I love that.
Like a listing presentation, right? Once you've nailed it and you're a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, you're like, come on, let's go. Give me the next one. So it is that importance of mastering your craft.
Yeah,
craft.
Absolutely. I can't wait for next year to compete. I can't wait.
You don't wake up speaking like that, right?
No, of course not. Absolutely. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Practice. Now, rapid fire, EBG. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What are you proudest of today?
I'm proudest of not giving up and becoming an auctioneer, because it really did take me some time and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not. But my honestly proudest moment today is that I pushed and I pushed and I got there.
And after seeing you call that charity auction the other night, I'm so proud to see your journey. So congratulations. Biggest lesson so far?
My biggest lesson, and it only just recently came in the last year, was that I have to work twice as hard to be twice as good. That's one of my things that I've learned. In order for me to play this game in this field and compete with who I'm competing with, I need to be twice as good. And so it's made me work twice as hard. And, you know, sitting back and just waiting for it to happen and maybe just putting a little bit of effort into it, I've really put a lot of time and effort into it. And I've learned now that in order for you to be the best, you have to do that. It's one of my biggest lessons today.
And you'll kill me for saying this because this wasn't in the brief, but, you know, Emma's prospecting, guys. So if you see Emma today and you like, you like her presentation, just like a salesperson, she's out there building her pipeline and prospecting.
Exactly. And I've got my sales background. Prospecting to agents is prospecting for listings, right? There's no difference. You just pick up the phone and you make the calls, and you know, all that sales training has really come in handy becoming an auctioneer.
And I think too, guys, like what a better way to start 2023. You know, a different auctioneer that's really understands the process as well and can help you get a result and a fresh approach. But I mean, that control and that energy, EBG, I just saw it come so far in that auction that you called the other night, which prompted this interview today off the back of it. Can I just ask you, along the way, what would you say to anybody that's looking at investing in a coach, a mentor, or what's helped you shape your career?
You know, it's funny, Kylie, I spent most of my real estate career looking for a mentor. And I remember working with people and actually saying to them, will you be my mentor? Little did I realize that a mentor comes in many shapes and sizes, and a mentor comes often when you don't know that they're coming and you don't know who they are. And obviously, anyone who knows me and anyone that doesn't, my mentor is Clarence White. And he has taken me to heights that I didn't even realize I could go. And I think you need somebody that believes in you all the way and thinks you're fantastic and is happy to back you. And when you make a mistake, it's not about being, scorned about it. It's about, what did you learn from that? How can you improve? How much can you push yourself? And I think you have to find somebody, and they have to find you. It's invaluable. I'd say to anybody, if you've got someone out there that's wanting to mentor you, say yes, 100%. The coaching that comes from that and how much you grow, not just as a real estate agent or as an auctioneer, but as a person too. It's really impacts you.
Something you said then, EBG, and I just like to focus on a little bit again for anyone that's listening and inspiring to take the path that you've taken or get better at being better, is that ability from a great leader to give feedback, but more importantly, you as resilience and wanting to grow your career, is taking that feedback on board, whether it be good or bad, and learning from it. Because great mentors don't give you feedback to make you feel bad. They give you feedback to inspire. And I think sometimes it's very difficult for leaders to give feedback, but also people wanting to learn.
Absolutely.
Everyone just told you all the good stuff all the time. You actually learn most from getting good constructive feedback.
We record all of our auctions every Saturday, and of course in rooms as well, not just for compliance reasons, that is the main reason, but also so that we can improve. And every single week I put all of my auctions up onto our shared cloud, and the team is able to look at my auctions. Clarence looks at my auctions, critiques. We all are able to look at each other and see how we work. So I mean, how great that I can say, what do I need here? How's my passing looking on this? What dialogue can I add to this? You know, so it's something we do in the team, non-negotiable.
It's interesting you say that. I work with a lot of sales agents, and we record their listing presentation at the beginning of the year. We work on it during the course of the year, and then we record it at the end of the year. And if that's something anyone's listening hasn't done, I'd really encourage you to do that.
It's so good.
It makes a massive difference. EBG, if you had to do it all again, is there anything that you would do differently, or for anyone starting new in real estate or in auctioneering, what is the one bit of advice you would give new starters?
I wouldn't change a thing. The one thing that I wish that I had known when I was younger in real estate was that it takes time to find your niche. It takes time for you to find out what you're very good at, what you should be doing. I kind of expected that to happen at about 25.
No way, you just wanted it like this.
I was like, what's going on? Why is it not happening? I wish somebody had said to me, I'm 44 and I've just started my career. Every single thing I did before was my apprenticeship. Now I'm starting my career. I wish somebody had said that to me, that success that comes a little bit later, it doesn't define you. It doesn't change you. It's just that's your path. I wish that someone had said that to me, that, it's going to be okay if it doesn't happen till a little bit later. Yeah.
If you could change one thing about or from the industry, what would it be?
This is a very good question. What would I change? There's not really too much I'd change because I love the industry that we work in, obviously. But I don't know. I probably think that some of the training, maybe some training around compliance, maybe be a little bit more larger in some of the offices. I think I'm very compliant. I love the compliance side of stuff. I'm a bit of a geek with that kind of stuff.
To auctions, EBG, or across the board, or
just across the board, and I think, like, just for instance, when in the times I've worked in sales, I would have loved an auctioneer to come into the business, where I've worked in businesses without in-house auctioneers and trained us about how to run a really successful auction campaign. Or, I love a bit of training. So I think anywhere where training can be had is going to make you a better agent, whether it's leasing, whether it's sales. I think I probably would have liked to have had access to a little bit more training as I've gone along.
Yeah, it's really hard to become an auction advocate, if you don't believe in the process, but I think a lot of people don't believe in it. Like I hear all the time, it doesn't work in my area. I'm just like, well, maybe you don't understand the process, and
exactly.
I can get the client a better result, shorter days on market, better price. And, I don't know one vendor that's like, no, don't get me any more. That's the only price I want to get.
Exactly.
So I think we're going to go into auction training session, but you could talk about it all day long. What do you do for downtime?
Well, I've got something that I want to share with you today for my downtime. It's positive, but it's also a bit negative. I have this terrible habit where I'm addicted to television. I love movies. I love watching TV. But I have a thing called sleep sacrifice, where I choose to stay up and watch TV late at night with my cat, and the children are in bed. The husband's not there. No one's bothering me. And I sit and I watch TV. It's not super late, but I love the quiet at night. I love being alone in the house and just watching TV, no one disturbing me, versus getting up in the morning and getting the day starting early. I'm not a late riser, but I do definitely love that late night movies, watching TV, binging on episodes. That is my absolute heaven. And so, yes, I sleep sacrifice. I choose to watch movies instead of going to bed.
I think too, and I hope you don't mind me talking about this, and your gorgeous husband doesn't mind me bringing this up. You've got, I think, better balance than most people I met, and you do focus a lot on your marriage and your partner.
I do.
Which is great. Like we just talking in the preamble about, it was your 15th wedding anniversary.
Wedding anniversary, yeah.
Last week. How important is that to invest back into family and the things that matter for that balance and sustainability?
There's one thing that I do before any of that. I put myself first every time. So I don't, my kids and my family and my house and all of that, it's a major priority, but I always put myself first, and my marriage is always straight after that. And my husband, I think we have a good marriage. We're a great couple, but we put a lot of time and effort into our marriage, and you kind of need to do that, right? And then the kids are there and you put some time and effort into them, and, of course, work's there as well. But if you don't put yourself first and focus on your relationship, none of that other stuff's going to happen. It's just going to all fall apart. So I'm a big believer of that, of, set yourself up of who are you taking care of? I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my family, I'm taking care of my work. You need to be conscious of them all the time. It's hard work.
That's the one thing I would change about this industry. I reckon we've got it all a bit stuffed up. Having been someone that's done that in the past myself. So anyone listening today, We always say it with performance coaching, where energy goes, results flow. And please, you take anything from EBG's interview today, remember that for sustainability of self, and that balance or wellness of your health and your family at home. Okay, 2 more things to finish up. What is better? I've never asked anyone this before. What is better, be perfect and late, or good and on time?
So this is a bad question for me because I'm always on time. I'm always on time. It's the one thing that I pride myself on is being very early and always on time. I'm not a perfectionist, but I definitely think on time trumps a lot of stuff, right? If you're on time, first impressions, I'm a huge believer of those first 30 seconds of meeting somebody. First you see somebody, they're on time, they're early, they look great. I reckon it's better to be on time.
Interesting. I can remember doing a survey once with a concierge service in a past office that I had, and we went through a bit of a stage where our conversion wasn't great on appraise to list, and we rang every appraisal previous 6 months, and on average our agents were 5 to 7 minutes late. And vendors were like, they're gone. And it's a habit too. Like I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, 1 more minute till the meeting starts. Then I go and try and do something.
Yeah.
So I think that's something for us all to ponder. Just to wrap up, because I love leading either with, what do you want your legacy to be, or what was something that you've screwed up in your life and you've learned from. So you pick legacy.
I've got a great story about a screw up, actually. I've got a great story about a screw up. I listed this fantastic house in Chatswood, I think it was, years and years ago when I was at Di Jones. She was a lovely woman. It was a beautiful house. She was an architect. She designed the house herself. It was beautiful. It was a terrible divorce, and the house had to be sold. The two of them were separating and they were out. We were lucky enough to get the front page of the Domain. And, it's a big deal, right? There's 12 front page Domain covers every year. I was just like absolutely losing my mind that we got front page. I was so excited about it. I went and had 2 copies of the front page Domain framed, professionally framed, one for myself, I thought it was a massive achievement, and one to give to the vendor. Now, I thought she was going to be absolutely over the moon. My love language is gifts. I love gifts. I love gifting people things, and I love receiving gifts. I thought it was a nice gesture. I turn up to the house, and it was a particularly bad day for her under the circumstances of what she was going through. She wasn't impressed at all, and she threw it in the bin. And I remember that moment realizing that just reading people better and taking the time to think, okay, is this the right thing to do for that person? Or, I know it's a nice gesture, but all she looked at was the horrendous divorce, the house not being hers anymore, having to sell when she didn't want to, all that kind of stuff. So I think definitely the lesson I took from that was just being a bit more aware of the situation and the relationship, where it was all about me. I thought, great, I got the front page of Domain, So anyway, that was definitely a screw up in my real estate.
That's great learning. We should all walk in our customers' shoes more
100%.
often and 100%. Remove ourselves from we do this all the time too, right? And I think and you're the least ego-driven person I know, but this industry sometimes is too much about the ego and not about, remembering what someone is going through. And someone that's gone through something like that in the last little bit, I understand where she was.
It wasn't a great thing to do.
EBG, look, there's so many learnings here. We're going to summarize it, put it in the top and tail of the interview. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, have an initial consult or book you for an auction, Absolutely. What's your phone number?
0415 473 450.
And where can I find out more about your bio?
You can have a look at myself and the team at menkwhite.com.au. Just jump online. All of our details are there. You can reach out to myself, any one of the team members as well. And if you're looking for a brand that wants to fit with your brand better, we're the agency for it.
And I think EBG, congratulations. Thank you for joining us. In 3 years, imagine where you're going to be in 5.
I have the best job in the world, Kylie. There is not an auctioneer in Sydney that is happier about being an auctioneer than me. I can tell you that right now.
Gratitude says a lot. All right, EBG, thanks so much. And thanks everyone.
See you later. Bye, darling. Bye.
Bye.